Record button. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Mike, for joining me. So I'm Michael Sliwinski, the founder and CEO of Nozbe, and this is another Michael.
Mike St Pierre, glad to be here. Happy Nozbe user.
Yeah, exactly. So Mike has been with us, many, many years. It's a long time Nozbe user. I think we did an interview with you for the Proactive magazine way back when you were still the director of a school,
Right.
right? So you were actually going to an office, actually in a school, and now you're not. So can you just tell us a little bit your story, your career, and how you ended up where you end up right now?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I live in the States, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and oh gosh, I mean, 15, 17 years of my career, I dragged my butt out of bed and drove 40 minutes to an office. And I was really fortunate. I worked in schools and middle schools and high schools. And I was president of a Catholic high school in New Jersey. And I got to a point where the drive, all of it, just became kind of a drudgery, if you want to think of it that way. The people were amazing, the work was amazing, but just that outer layer of having to go to a fluorescent lighted office all day long and have very little flexibility. It just, so I made a switch 4 years ago, and so now I lead a nonprofit here in the States. We work with colleges, and we deliver mostly online resources to our members. And so what that allowed me to do was have two offices, one work from home, and then one drive in and have our organization office. And that was really pretty fantastic. And then the coronavirus hit. And so I am fortunate. I have a nice home office, and I'm kind of loving it because I don't have any drive now. I don't have to go into the company office 2 or 3 days a week. I can run everything from here, and I am not complaining. I love it, and working remotely is something that I've become really, really passionate about, and partly in thanks to you because you're really a nut about it, and that's made me kind of a nut about it. And
that's good.
It's hard to see going back at this point.
Yeah. So we've known each other for many, many, many years, and we met finally like 2 years ago, close to 2 years ago, as I was passing through Jersey State, and then we met. Thanks to you, we discovered Panera Bread, which is a fantastic chain with really great food and great soups. so that was that, and. Yeah. So, and Mike, you also wrote a book because you're a Catholic as I am, and you wrote a book about prayer and about how prayer is important. What's the name of the book exactly?
It's called The 5 Habits of Prayerful People.
Exactly. So that's that, and you are also a productivity nut. Tell me. Now that you don't have to go to the office, but also people who work in your small organization don't have to go to the office. How did they react to the situation, and how do they cope with this?
Well, I think pretty well is the short answer. And I think part of that is because part of our company values are that we have this phrase, remote is cool. And so, when we hire someone, we tell them right off the bat that we have a bias towards remote work. And I talk about it as like the 3-legged stool of where you work. You probably are going to work from home. Hopefully, ideally, you have an office at home, but some people don't. You're hopefully going to have like some kind of a company space that if you choose to go there, you have a space to work. So we have an office, but we could now call it a co-working space where everybody has a desk. And if you like to work there and it's quiet, awesome, but you don't have to. And then the third leg of the stool is a coffee shop, a library, something like that. And in my experience, I don't know about you, but if you have those 3 pieces, you're good to go, or you probably are fine with 2 of them. But I just think that most people today, just having one place to work, I don't know that works the way it did a generation ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it can work for some people, but I love the freedom to work wherever and just be judged on my outputs and not so much, on where I am at 10:45 on a Tuesday, something like that. So our team really responded pretty well. Kind of like the Nozbe team. I mean, I've tried to be, as Pat Lencioni calls it, exceedingly human,
Yeah.
just realizing that people have family members at home and a lot more cooking to do and things like that. So I'm trying to learn from you. And I told them right at the beginning, like, look, I don't expect you to be 100%, for the first, maybe even couple of weeks. And that's
Yeah.
just, we're just going to find a way. And if you can work, great. And if you can't, you're not going to be judged, harshly on that. So yeah, I mean, they've been really pretty good about it. We've kept our weekly one-on-one meetings, which has been helpful. And then every 2 weeks we do, and those are just regular phone. And then every 2 weeks we do a Zoom staff meeting. And we just, we put everything in a doc. And if there's nothing in the doc, we don't meet. But if there are things in the doc, we meet. But I mean, this morning we had a call. It was like 35 minutes. It was fine, and everyone's on the same page. And so I think all things considered, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's really good. That's the thing, when you're set up, like you said, like with these three, legs, then it's just easier for you to work. That's why we're trying to promote here, like, complete, like trying to inspire people to look at how they used to work now that they are, kind of forced to work from home, to see how they can improve the way they work, so that maybe after this whole thing blows over and we're back to normality, they will consider, not being more flexible with everything, because it's the same. I mean, right now my life is upside down completely, even though, I'm used to working from home, but because of my kids at home, I'm homeschooling them because the teachers are not really, savvy. Then actually we are running some kind of homework Zooms in the morning with the kids. So there is me, Professor Mike here. So it's kind of but on the other hand, when I look at my time, how much time I've spent working, and my output and things I've done over the last weeks, I can't believe how many things I've done, how many things I managed to pull off. So the cool thing is that once I am at work mode, I don't slack off. I just work. I think even more intensively than I used to, because I know that this time at work is precious right now. Because later, I will have kids, I will have dinner to cook, I will have I'll have to put the kids to sleep. Everything just is there. So it's crazy, but what's really important is that people should be able to to work proactively wherever they are. Just like I can just pull out my iPad and just work, and for many people it's not the case. They just don't know how to get themselves organized.
Yeah, we're doing something later today called office hours for work, and we're talking about the issue of loneliness with remote workers. And I use the Buffer. I think it's like the State of Remote Work report that they put out. And the one this year, I think the number one thing that people said about remote work that they liked was the flexibility and just not having a commute. And I think that flexibility it's not just like, hey, I don't have to wear a tie or something like. I mean, that's nice. But I think it's, hey, I could work from home, or I could work over there, or I could, I can work 9 to 5, or I can work 10 to 9 or whatever. And so that's huge. And I think for our team, they know that I trust them as adults to get their work done. And we see online what we're doing. So not like real time, but I mean, asynchronously, we see what people are producing, and we're always like, what'd you work on this week, and what's on your plate for this week. So I think with all that, it's just a whole different mindset, and we have fewer meetings, which is something that I'm really passionate about, because I think a lot of meetings can be a waste of time if they're not done well. So I think when you put all those pieces together, the work goes on. And I'm thankful. I really am, because I know some people can't shift everything online. So I'm very grateful that we are able to here.
Yeah, I mean, especially, what you said about the meetings and the fact that some meetings, as you said, should be there just to combat this loneliness thing. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I kind of, I like my developers, they were trying not to have any meeting at all, but I kind of, I tried to gently force them to have just one meeting a week, and
Yeah.
it's just one meeting on a Monday for 30 minutes when they are all online via Zoom with video, so just they can see each other, and then can remember that they're still a part of a team, a part of a
Yeah.
of a group that does stuff together. And they don't spend lots of time there, but 30 minutes, or and it's a team of 10 or 12 people right now. So this team is kind of remembers each other, like sees each other, like so this kind of thing. And the same thing I have with my direct reports. I have a meeting on a Monday at 1, and it's the same thing. We just hang out, just talk about challenges for this week. We sometimes of course we discuss like some major issues, but sometimes we just just chat about what's going on in the company, like from our sides. And then after an hour or so, we get back to our business, and that enables us to hardly have any more meetings during the week anymore. Like if we don't need to, if there, as you said, if there is no agenda, there is no meeting. But these two kind of status meetings are important for us to just be together as a team, and make sure that we're not lonely. We're not just sitting there and not like forgetting, like killing me softly, like slowly forgetting that we are part of something bigger.
So, Michael, I was going to ask you, because I know like Basecamp, they're not big fans of standing meetings, but it sounds like you're saying at Nozbe, you do have some standing meetings, even if they're brief. Do you feel
so
like
we did have a kind of stand-up meeting every day at 10 o'clock, for example, for the developers, but they didn't like it. They didn't like the fact that they had these stand-up meetings. They hardly would put on the video camera. They said that they would just, waiting for their turn to just say something. So we replaced these meetings with a task in Nozbe. So there's a task in Nozbe, like for this date, and then everybody puts a comment what they have done yesterday, what they're doing today, and what are their challenges. So it's a very short comment. So, and they can post it anytime they want in the morning. So they post the comment and they just go on with their work. But we shifted this to this one stand-up meeting on a Monday, so that but it's not a stand-up meeting. They are not supposed to say lots. They are just supposed to hang out for a second, for half an hour, and just talk about like a bigger picture, like what are the main features we're going to build this week, what are main challenges, what are main problems or main issues, or whatever. So but main themes of the week. But then they're being asked to put on the video just to hang out. But this is just once a week. So
yeah.
Again, the idea is to minimize it, but again, not to forget each other.
You know what I find is that my world is a lot of ministry. So people are used to real face-to-face conversations and stopping in and lots of meetings and all that. And I think what I've found, and I think what a lot of people are finding with the coronavirus is, maybe a Zoom is like 80% as effective as in person. But you don't have to drive to get there. You don't have, you're only going to have a call if there's a purpose. So you pretty much negate all meaningless meetings, and you start to see that actually seeing the person, I mean, you and I've only met once, but we've had different Zooms over the years, and we know each other, we're friends. And I think when people really are honest, video conferencing can do probably about 90% of what real conversation has and it's cheaper and it's faster. And so I don't want to say it's better, but it's not nearly as deficient as people realize. And and I think just a periodic check-in can be very powerful, just sort of emotionally and, people to people wise.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like to me, thanks to video conferencing and seeing each other, it just really helps me stay connected with my team. Of course, as you know, in my team, we do meet twice a year. We just had to cancel our meeting in May, so we were supposed to meet together. We had to cancel that one, but hopefully in the fall we'll make the best of it. but that's the thing. So with the video conferencing, really, it's as you said, 90%. I would say, without the drawbacks of being in the same physical space. So yeah, and I see that with the kids. The kids have the Zoom sessions in the morning, and right now they're on holidays because of the Easter holidays. They are on holidays. Here it's just longer. The whole week before the Easter, they're already on holidays. But they have the Zoom video calls with their friends, and they play Kahoot together. They chat, and it's so good to see them, how they're happy to see each other. Of course, again, it's not 100%. They would have loved to be in the same place, but for them to interact with the via the video conferencing and just playing Kahoot together, it's really more than good enough.
I think it's going to change everything. I really do. I think coronavirus is going to change. I think we're going to see more people doing homeschooling. I think we're going to see more people taking online classes instead of paying $50 or $60 or $80,000 a year for college.
Yeah.
I think it's going to change things. And I just think it's sort of, this whole experience has stripped everybody down to just the basics. And I think when you have to get in touch with the basics, you realize, oh, they're not that bad after all,
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of, I don't say that lightly, because I know some people, I've been fortunate. We haven't really been impacted that badly by the virus. But I think that there are a lot of positives that come from this, from a work standpoint, or kids, or even my daughter said she's loving being at home and studying. And we start talking about, well, why is that? Well, you don't have the knucklehead in the corner who's distracting the teacher. Okay. Yeah. And you can really concentrate because it's quieter. Okay. And you don't have to get up from your desk every 38 minutes to change gears and go to a different subject. Like there are a lot of things that are not good about it. I don't know about education in Spain, but in the States, there's just a lot of pieces that are broken with it. And I think that this whole experience kind of shows people, we can do this simpler, and we can give people time to focus. And which again is kind of the asynchronous piece, similar to Nozbe and Catholic Campus Ministry Association, where I work. We honor people's time, and by giving them time to work on the stuff that they need to work on and not interrupt them so much, you can get more done. And boy, it's really nice.
So it's a very good segue to talk about a little bit about Nozbe, but not about Nozbe but the concept behind Nozbe. So the task-based communication, something that we are trying to, as you said, push with the first the fact that you have projects, tasks, and comments. And what you do is you create a task, you write a comment about it. Like, for example, you delegate this task to somebody, and you don't punch them. You just wait, because they have received the task. They'll get on with it when they can. So it's this asynchronous part, and they'll give you feedback, and they'll just, get it done. So this kind of situation where people have to get used to, creating a task, like describing it well and delegating it. So writing more, which is one of the main things when you stay at home. You have to, I think people have already noticed that they have to just write more.
Right.
And then explain it to somebody, just delegate it to them, and trust that they will get to it when they can, without interrupting them. Because right now, at the same time, they might be working on something important for somebody else or for themselves, and then you have to wait for them, and then they'll get on with it, right?
I think we talk too much. I know we're talking right now, but that's because that's the purpose of this. But I think there's too much chit chat in the workplace. A friend of mine was saying they're thinking of taking their company and doing an open office floor plan. He said, what do you think? And I said, I am philosophically and morally opposed to that. And just the reason is, I would much rather people, when they have to write it down, like you're saying, or put it into their task manager, it forces them to be clear. Yes. Because I think we've kind of it's become very cheap to just say, hey, what about this? Or what we should do that. Okay, well, every time one of my reports says that to me, my brain latches onto it, and I'm like, gosh, maybe we should do that. I don't know, whereas if I say, write it down and make a practical proposal, then we can make a decision on it. And it's not this sort of nebulous thing. So I think I agree with you so much. I know when we hire people, I want to see their resume. It's important, but I want to see a writing sample. Because if you see how they write, you see how they think. And if you see how they think, you see how they can make a decision. And gosh, isn't that what we pay people to do, is to make decisions? So I think you're right. The writing thing is so darn important.
Yeah, and that's why I was crazy about this whole thing. People look at me weird, but I always ask, tell them that they should, if they cannot, if they should learn to touch type, because you have to type a lot when you're working from home, and when you touch type, it's just so much easier because you're literally just writing what you're thinking right now. You don't have to really, think about writing it. You just write it, and it makes all the difference.
Makes all the difference. And then if you can touch type, then you can do keyboard shortcuts. And if you can do keyboard shortcuts, then you can use text expander. And if you can use, it just keeps going, but it starts with typing. You're right.
Yeah. So the whole thing, about, task-based communication, and, having this situation where you really have asynchronous work, comes down to the fact that you can leave people alone to do their best work. So just today I had this example that I was doing something, and I was asking one of my team members to do. I created a task for them, and I was tempted to just actually do it for them, but then I just explained in the comment, what I want, also linked to the write-ups that we already did, internally. And then this person just, actually did what they were asked to do. And in the meantime, the cool thing was, it's a document that explains the pricing of Nozbe Teams. So, but the cool thing was, because it was in a task in Nozbe Teams, and it was in a comment, and this is open comment thread, and if people are following this project, they can receive notifications when in activity, they can see what's happening. So in the same time, another team member was looking at it, and she's responsible for the Spanish version. So later, I wrote a comment saying, maybe then, we should try to work on the Spanish version. And she's like, yeah, way ahead of you, already done that. So
nice.
So there's the thing, because we wrote it up, we wrote everything in the comment, she saw it, and she knew I'm going to ask for this. So instead of waiting for, for her turn, she just did it, because again, it was her asynchronous time. It was her time to do it. So she chose the time to do it, and she chose to do it ahead of me. So this is again, this kind of, and another concept that is really important, this kind of transparency, that we write this task in a project that people can follow, people can see, people can have access to. And then we write this comment so people actually can see what's going on, and they can see what's going on their terms. She chooses to follow this project. She chooses to check out the activity, and she chooses to engage without me, disturbing her and, all that stuff, So it's, I think we also give more control to people, because of that.
I think there's a nerdy satisfaction when the people who work for you start using the tools that you want them to.
Yeah.
And I just think that a lot of us, we, for example, we have an outside consultant doing some communications work for us.
Yeah.
And so she uses Trello. So, she invited me into Trello. I don't really like Trello. I don't like the way it's laid out. I think it's messy. It's just not very intuitive to me. However, it's at least the one place where everything is. And I think that there's a value to that. Again, I don't really like Trello. I only use it because she likes it. But I think the principle, and it kind of, links back to Nozbe, you got to have one place, where you can trust it. And you might fight it, and you might wish it were a little bit different, and you might wish it has but you have to have one place, because if you don't, you have all the places. And that I think makes us insane, So I don't know. But I get nerdily excited, when my people use the tools that we want them to. I remember years ago, we both like David Allen and getting things done.
Yeah.
I remember when somebody came to me and she told me she was reading David Allen's book. I was like, my job is done. You know, I've
Yeah.
accomplished what I've been sent here to do. And it's just like the stuff we do. I mean, you, me, and the people in this space, we really believe in this stuff. You know,
Oh,
we
yes.
really believe like you'll get more done, you'll sleep better at night, you'll have more time with your family and your friends. And so I don't know, it's really satisfying when your people use the tools you want them to.
You know, when you said that, I don't want to, sound really bad, but it's not like we believe it. We know it for a fact. We know
Yeah,
what it does to us. So
yeah,
that's why we know it for a fact that it
right,
does make us, better, more productive, and also more,
right.
calmer and happier. Um, Now, like in Nozbe, what happened, as you know, we are right now, we've cornered ourselves that we have right now two products. So we have Nozbe, so we call it right now the good old Nozbe. We call it Nozbe Personal now, and then Nozbe Teams, and right now we are in this phase where we just launched Nozbe Teams. It's still maturing product, as you have seen, and we'll link to your first impression review, which was great because we also saw where you were confused. So like it helped. We're right now rolling out some improvements in the interface because of your review. So thank you so much for that. But exactly. So anyway, the thing is that recently people have been asking us, like, why second product, why different product, why Nozbe Teams? And because we initially called it Nozbe 4, which confused people, that like, now we call it differently. And today I was trying, when I was recording a Polish version of live with my colleague Emilia, and what I was trying to say is that the fact that Nozbe Personal, the first Nozbe, was born because of my frustration to get stuff done myself, and then sharing projects and all that stuff was slapped on top of it, kind of to make sure that it works. And Nozbe Teams is completely different. It's made with a team, as the starting point, not the person. Because in Nozbe Teams, the difference is that when you start a project, it's a project that everybody can see on the team. Of course,
Yeah.
when you're on a premium, you can limit how many people see the project, but the default is everybody can see the project. Some people may choose to follow it, some people may choose not to follow it, but people have access to the project, which is also our way of trying to help small teams and companies understand that you should be more transparent with everything that you're doing, because you might not even know that you have very good experts on your team, and they can help you out. But anyway, this fact of, and because of that, people are confused, which Nozbe to use. And of course, you should always, well, I'm trying not to choose Apple's response, which is use both, because this is what I do. I use Nozbe Personal right now for my personal stuff, and we've migrated all of our team projects to Nozbe Team. Nozbe Teams, and in Nozbe Teams we have everything that it's team related, and everything is business related. Thanks to that, I can still be using both products and dog food both products, and get frustrated when something doesn't work very, very well in both products. So which is good.
Sure.
But on the other hand, I can also separate a little bit my life, to have my personal stuff in one place and have my work-related stuff in the second place. So it's a struggle, and and I had to explain to people that we couldn't just upgrade Nozbe, because we would also anger lots of people who are used to Nozbe the way it is. So by building Nozbe Teams, we had to do something else. And you know both products. What was your impression? Like, how did you react?
Well, I mean, I think that actually it's pretty common for productivity companies to have multiple products. So, I mean, like Todoist makes Twist, and
Yes.
Basecamp is about to come out with their email, Hey,
Yeah.
So in that way, I think it's very normal. I think that what I like that you guys are doing is and I didn't even think of this until recently.
Yeah.
I think products that start out for individuals and then try to do the team thing, like you said, it is possible, but you always kind of lean back to, well, it's a personal productivity app, and I actually think the same is on the other side, so like, a product like Basecamp or Trello or whatever, those are not really Jira. They're not really for personal use. And the easy way to know is there's no quick add feature. You know,
Yeah.
when you and their mobile versions are I don't mean to be, you know, negative, but they're not really meant to be for mobile. You know, they're meant to be at a desk and I've got my computer, the whole thing. And I think what Nozbe Teams, like maybe a little sneaky secret weapon is, it is for Teams. It's built that way, but you still have the quick add feature, which makes it feel a little bit smaller than, you know, some of those other ones just feel like, oh my gosh, I mean, they just feel like too much, you know, whereas I think Nozbe Teams, you're trying to thread the needle, like, let's make it just light enough that it feels good. And it looks really awesome on mobile, you know? So yeah, I'm right there. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I think there's a ton of upside. And I think that it's, you know, like I said in my video review, you get what you pay for, you know? So if people want to use a free product, you're going to get that kind of a response from the team, and they're going to make money off you in other ways. I don't really want that, you know? So I'm happy to pay for a product because I know the people who are behind the scenes. And that's, you know, my big takeaway with Nozbe Teams is, like you said, it's evolving, you know, it's early days, but if you look at the track record of Nozbe and the people behind the product, I have every confidence that it's going to be an amazing product. It's just a matter of time. And so I don't know. I think it's really exciting. But I think you found a way to make a team first product, but yet you have the quick add. So that's going to make for it a personal vibe. So it's, in a way, it's like having your cake and eating it too.
Well, yeah, exactly. So our goal, I mean, our target market for Nozbe Teams is our small teams. That's why, for example, also you know, it's free up to 5 people, and then the pricing is tiers are like 5, 7, 10. Like so like we want, and you know, it's really affordable. Like like once we start charging, it's going to be in May. So right now it's free. It's going to be $29 per month. So it's not really much for a team of 5 people. So so like, and it's for entire team, not per person. So it's so that's the thing. And yes, we are trying to and Nozbe Teams is also not as rich in, you know, like pro features as Nozbe, because, you know, Nozbe had all the time in the world to, you know, 13 years to grow into these features. But also we chose we chose actually what we are talking about today. We chose this task-based communication. So we chose to make this kind of communication the least effortless possible. So as you said, we with quick add is the same thing. We want to make sure that we can add a task quickly, and then you can delegate it quickly to somebody. You can really like make, you know, it's in the system. And then you can just put it there in any project you want. But this whole thing of sharing these projects very easily, like without, you know, too much admin work, you know, now inviting everyone and, you know, going through all these things, jumping through the hoops, just to make sure that, you know, everybody's on the same page. And especially I think now in this, that's why we actually launched a little bit earlier, because we thought, you know, people might need it right now in this time when they need the, you know, one source of truth, as you said, you know, the same, they need to use the same tool and make sure that the data is there and it's not forgotten.
And I think too, Michael, I mean, most people are not that techie. You know what I mean? Like most people, well, you know, 1% are developers and engineers. Everybody else, they're just hardworking people who they've got a smartphone, they know how to get to the web, you know, but like, I would imagine that there's a fair percentage of those like glitzy features that some of the other apps have that never get used. Yeah. So why, I mean, they look really cool on a 5-second GIF, you know, in Instagram, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think the average person uses them. So I think, you know, there's good wisdom to just sticking with the basics and doing it really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm still amazed, you know, like, you know, to be honest, when I'm reviewing other apps, I'm very often not reviewing direct competitors. So direct people, like direct companies in the project management space, in the work management space, but, you know, different tools. And for me, for example, I'm blown away still by how well WhatsApp works. I'm annoyed that WhatsApp doesn't have an iPad app, but I like the how well the chat works in WhatsApp. Like it's just really, really well done. For example, it's a very well done application. And that's why, for example, with Nozbe, we are really focused on just getting this, this task-based communication right, this way of adding tasks and the way of adding comments. Like, we still have a way to go with adding comments, but already, like, I love it's so much better than we used to like have in the beginning of testing it. But so all these, I think what you're saying is that in many teams, and I've known this because I've been interviewing our business customers, in many teams, the main problem of introducing an app like Nozbe by somebody who knows that a value of an app like this in the team, like you said, it's the fact that people start using it, just to get people over the hump. So if you give them a very advanced professional tool with lots of bells and whistles and buttons and all that stuff, they will never use it. So you just need to make just a basically for me, it's like an intersection of chat and, I mean, not chat, but chat, mail, and a to-do list. So this is what Nozbe Teams is. This kind of kind of chat, and if chat and to-do list had a baby and a more asynchronous baby, then this would be Nozbe Teams.
Well, it's like, I mean, Apple makes their phones, yes, they make them for people like you and me, but they make them for people like my wife, and my kids, and they like to use them a lot and all that. But at the end of the day, they need to be able to turn it on, take a good photo, get to their email easily. Yeah. They're probably not going to rarely go into the settings and make changes and all that. And that's most of the people on our teams. These are the people in sales. These are the people in whatever, customer support. So I think a lot of our, I think of, well, I know, we could all think of different other companies and products that they have so much venture capital dollars behind them, and they have so many features and all that. And that's great, I suppose, for some people, but most of the users will never use a lot of their products, and they've become so big. I mean, I know that the Nozbe base is big, but I think you guys have found a nice way to make it still feel small. I mean, when you have a problem and you send an email, you actually get a response. Yeah. Whereas, like we use Squarespace for our website, and you can't get a person on Squarespace, and I love Squarespace. It's a wonderful tool, but it's become so big that you might be able to get a chat, maybe. Whereas I think you guys have done a really nice job of just making the community still feel kind of small. And I don't know. I think in the coronavirus age, people want that. They want a little community, even of the tools that they use. It's a little nerdy, but I don't know. I think community is more important than ever before.
Yeah. So a very nice note to end this conversation, like to be more human, and also in some right now when we are deciding on some of the features or some of the user experience, design in the application, sometimes I just I got pushback from the team that I said, in this case, just tell them to email support. And they're like, no, but they should be able to do it. Yeah, but for them to be able to, I mean, I'm all for self-serving and all of that stuff, but for example, for this to be able to do that, to do this, it might be too nuanced for them to do it right. But if they contact support and they get somebody on the line, quickly helping them out, it's going to be faster for them. They're going to have a nice experience, and they're going to see there's somebody else who cares about them on the other end.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, it's actually not a bad idea. So sometimes just this kind of, this way we can also show that, we are there for you. So, and especially, as you said, especially in this time, it's good to, to be able to do that.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mike St Pierre, thank you so much for joining me today. And we'll publish this on our blog and on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being together again.
Thanks, Michael. Good to see you. Keep up all the hard work you're doing.